Be honest. Is your lifestyle helping you build wealth, or just helping you look like you have it? You work hard. You earn money. But somehow, there's never enough. Not enough to invest. Not enough to save. Not enough to breathe. And it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're not smart. It's because you've been trained, silently, strategically, to spend your progress on appearances. Let's get real for a second. Most people are working to impress people who aren't even paying attention. They upgrade their phone before paying off debt. They lease a luxury car while carrying 3 credit cards. They book the trip and come home to stress. They don't feel rich. They just want to look like they're not struggling. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The longer you try to look rich, the longer you'll stay exactly where you are. Because every dollar spent to perform is a dollar stolen from your future. And no one is going to rescue you from that cycle. Not the next race, not the next job, not even a miracle year. Real wealth? It's built in silence. No filters. No luxury aesthetics. No status symbols. Just clarity. Discipline. Decisions no one claps for, but that change everything. In this video, we're going to break the cycle. You'll learn what to stop doing immediately if you want to stop bleeding money, how the truly wealthy act and think, and what they never do. The mindset shift that pulls you out of status games and into real financial power. And most importantly, how to start building wealth that doesn't depend on noise, validation, or performance. And before we dive in, I want you to remember this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to get it all right on day one. You just need to stop walking in circles. Because if you're still stuck financially, there's a good chance it's not from lack of income, but from lack of clarity on what not to do. And that's where we start. Let me ask you something personal. And don't answer it for me. Answer it for yourself. What part of your life looks successful to others, but secretly drains you? That apartment? That car? That subscription? That friend group? Now ask yourself, is it building you, or is it just keeping you busy? Because most people don't lose their wealth through one bad decision. They lose it through 1,000 tiny performances that feel harmless in the moment, but compound into emptiness. We're not doing that anymore. We're choosing freedom over performance, leverage over labels, peace over pressure. That's what this entire video is about. And if that message hits you, if you're done pretending things will change while living the same way, hit subscribe right now, not just for this video, but to join a movement of people who are quietly changing everything. Every new subscriber here is not a fan. You're a builder. You're someone who decided, I'd rather be free than look impressive. I'd rather be clear than constantly explaining myself. I'd rather be quiet and unstoppable. Now let's begin. And let's start with the real reason trying to look rich is keeping you stuck, even when you don't see it. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. Most people don't spend money because they need to. They spend it because they need to be seen. Seen as successful. Seen as independent. Seen as someone who's making it. But behind the image is often a quiet desperation. A life that looks stable on the outside but feels like it's always on the edge inside. We're taught early on to measure success by visibility. If people don't see it, it doesn't count. So what do? We buy the car we can't comfortably afford. We upgrade the apartment before we're ready. We say yes to every dinner, every trip, every celebration, even if it means swiping a card we secretly fear won't go through. We don't want to admit it. But most of what we spend money on is to avoid looking behind. Behind in life. Behind our peers. Behind where we think we should be by now. That's not freedom. That's emotional debt. And it's more expensive than anything you can put on a credit card. Let's be clear. There's nothing wrong with having nice things. The problem is when those things have you. When your identity is built on external approval. You become addicted to maintaining the illusion. Even if it bankrupts your future. And the real cost? It's not just money. It's your focus. It's your peace. It's your ability to say no to what doesn't serve you. Because now, your lifestyle owns your decisions. This is what it looks like. You can't leave a job you hate because your bills are inflated by your image. You can't invest because every extra dollar is already committed to maintaining your persona. You can't rest because deep down, you know it's unsustainable. And yet, you keep going because it looks good, because people compliment you, because on the outside, you're doing well. But inside, you feel trapped. Behind the curated posts and filtered smiles, you're carrying a weight that grows heavier each month. This isn't a judgment. It's a wake-up call, because you can't build real wealth while trying to look like you already have it. Let me say that again. You can't build real wealth while trying to look like you already have it. Those two roads don't go to the same place. One leads to applause. The other leads to freedom. And you have to choose. Because trying to walk both ends up getting you nowhere. You don't have to live like this. You don't have to keep performing. You don't have to keep buying things you don't need to impress people who aren't paying your bills. You can opt out. You can make a quiet exit from the status game and start playing a different one. The one where you make money decisions based on what serves you, not based on how it looks to others. The one where you downgrade your lifestyle for a year, so you can upgrade your freedom for a lifetime. The one where you build in silence. And one day, you don't just look successful, you are. So here's the real question. Are you building a life or building a brand? Because one will cost you likes, and the other will cost you your peace. You get to choose which is worth more. And if you're ready to stop playing the expensive game of validation, then keep watching. Because in the next act, we're going to look at how truly wealthy people think and move, and why they never do what the average person does with their money. They figured something out. Not just how to get ahead, but how to do it without anyone noticing. So, what do the truly wealthy know that others don't? Simple. They know that wealth doesn't have to be seen to be real, and they live by a principle most people ignore. The less people know about what I have, the freer I am. While others upgrade their wardrobe with every raise, the wealthy upgrade their portfolios. While others buy cars that make a statement, they buy time, flexibility, and compound growth. You pass them in public and you'd never guess. They don't dress like money. They don't act like they own the room. They don't lead with ego. But if you saw their investment accounts, their ownership stakes, their systems running in the background, you'd understand. They're not trying to look successful because they already are. Quietly, strategically, deliberately. Here's what they do differently, and you can start doing it too. 1. They separate income from lifestyle. Just because they make more doesn't mean they spend more. In fact, many intentionally live below their means for years, not because they have to, but because it gives them margin to build. They treat that margin like sacred ground. It's not for treating themselves. It's for buying freedom through assets, not aesthetics. 2. They invest early and often, even when it feels slow. They're not chasing hype. They're stacking boring, reliable assets while others chase trends. They don't need things to triple overnight. They understand the magic of consistency and time. While their peers are asking, what's the next big thing? They're asking, how do I stay in the game long enough to win? 3. They protect their peace like it's money, because it is. They're not going to every dinner, trip, or event just to maintain an image. They say no often. They don't care if people assume they're cheap or boring. Because while others are spending their energy to be seen, the wealthy are saving theirs to strategically act. They're not hiding. They're just focused. 4. They don't make financial decisions to impress strangers. They're not decorating their lives for other people's approval. They're building foundations that can't be shaken. And that means driving the same car longer than most. It means skipping unnecessary upgrades. It means not falling for the lie that you deserve it when that desire is only rooted in insecurity. They're not afraid to look normal, because what they're building is anything but normal. And here's something you might not expect. Many of them went years without talking about money, because they were too busy mastering it. They were ignored, underestimated, even criticized, until one day, The results spoke for themselves, not through flash, but through total control of their time, their location, their energy. No alarm clocks unless they choose. No bosses unless they agree. No pressure to say yes to things that don't align. You want to know what wealth really looks like? It looks like freedom to leave a job that drains you. It looks like not panicking when an emergency hits. It looks like options, the kind that no one can see, but you can feel every single day. That's what the truly wealthy are building. And it's not that they're smarter than you. It's not that they had some special advantage. It's that they stopped trying to look rich and started acting like someone who builds. You can do the same. But first, you need to shift your standard. You need to let go of the pressure to perform and adopt the mindset of someone who plays the long game. The silent game. The one that works while everyone else watches. Because that's the move. Let them wonder how you did it. Let them be confused. Let them talk. You'll be too busy building. And if you're serious about making that shift, stick with me, because in the next act, we're exposing how the world traps you in the status game and what you can do to escape it. Once you see it clearly, you'll never fall for it again. Let's break something wide open. You think you're making your own choices. You think you're in control. But what if I told you? Most of your financial decisions are being made for you without your permission, not by logic, not by intention, but by influence, invisible pressure, design. You've been trained to care about things that don't serve you, to spend on things that shrink you, to chase validation that costs you your future. Let's look at how it happens and why it's working on you even now. It starts early. You learn that certain clothes mean you belong, that certain shoes make you cool, that your phone, your style, your brand, they're signals of your worth. Then you grow up and nothing really changes. The symbols evolve, but the game stays the same. If you don't upgrade, you look behind. If you don't travel, you look boring. If you don't post, people assume you're not doing well. If you're not visible, you're irrelevant. And you buy into it. Not because you're weak, but because the system is designed to keep you reacting. You're not buying the product. You're buying belonging, validation, relief. And every time you swipe your card, someone profits. But it's not you. Here's the truth. Status is a business, and you are the target. Companies don't just want your money. They want your identity. Because if they can make you feel like you're missing something, they can sell you anything. And if you keep playing their game, you'll stay broke, distracted, and emotionally tied to things that never fill you. Because status isn't wealth. It's noise. It's pressure. It's a leash. And the longer you chase it, the further you get from freedom. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt uncomfortable being seen in the same clothes too often? Ever felt embarrassed driving a car that's too old? Ever avoided inviting people over because your place isn't impressive enough? That's not you. That's the trap. You've internalized expectations that don't belong to you. And now you're spending your power trying to meet standards that were never yours to begin with. But here's the dangerous part. You won't realize how trapped you are until you try to do things differently and feel the pressure to explain yourself. Why aren't you upgrading? Why are you acting like money matters? Why are you saying no? Why are you being cheap? Because in a world obsessed with visibility, anyone who chooses silence looks suspicious. And that's how the trap protects itself. It makes rebellion feel like failure. But you don't have to keep playing. You can walk away. You can unsubscribe from the pressure. You can reclaim your decisions, not by disappearing, but by rebuilding your identity around clarity instead of status. Because real power is being able to say, I don't need to prove anything. I don't have to explain my choices. I don't spin to be seen. I build to be free. That's the shift. And once you make it, everything changes. Your spending becomes intentional. Your relationships become lighter. Your mind becomes quiet. And your future opens up. Because when you stop performing, you start building momentum. You gain energy. You multiply time. You move differently. The people still chasing status won't get it. They'll say you're different. Less fun. Less flashy. Let them, because while they're watching you, you'll be watching your wealth grow in silence. And one day, they'll look around and wonder, how did they get so far ahead without anyone noticing? The answer will be simple. You stopped needing to look rich and started acting like someone who is. Now that you see the trap, it's time to step out of it and into something much more powerful. In the next act, I'll show you exactly how to flip the switch, how to stop performing and start building, not just financially, but mentally, emotionally, and strategically. Because clarity without action is just another performance. So you've seen the trap. You know how it pulls you in. You know what it costs. But the question now is, what do you do instead? You can't just stop chasing status. You have to replace it with vision, with purpose, with real power. Because if you remove the performance, but don't rebuild your identity, you'll end up right back where you started, just with less confidence. That's why the truly wealthy don't just reject the show. They replace it with structure. They build systems, not stories. They build freedom, not followers. They build peace, not impressions. And it starts with the shift so small, so quiet. Most people miss it. It starts with one question. If no one could see what I do, what kind of life would I build? Think about that. If no one could see your car, your apartment, your clothes, your vacations, what would you spend money on? What would still matter? What would be worth it? That's your real value system. Not the one you say you believe in now, but the one that survives silence. The wealthy use that question like a compass. It's how they decide what to keep, what to cut, and what to pursue. They don't build to impress. They build to protect what matters most. So let's talk about what that shift looks like in real life. 1. You stop asking, can I afford this? And start asking, is this aligned with the life I'm building? Because just having the money doesn't mean the decision is smart. Freedom isn't about buying what you want. It's about knowing when to walk away and why. 2. You stop upgrading your lifestyle by default. Every time your income increases, you pause. You ask, where can this money work harder than I can? You use it to build systems, automated investments, debt elimination, long-term reserves, passive income streams. Because that upgrade you wanted, it'll still be there later. But your freedom? It compounds if you let it. 3. You stop asking for permission to change. You don't explain your simpler choices. You don't defend your new discipline. You don't water down your direction to keep others comfortable. You walk quietly toward a life that fits you, not one that performs for them. 4. You redefine what winning means. Not attention, not applause, not stuff. Winning becomes going to sleep without anxiety, waking up without dread, owning your time, making decisions without fear. The scoreboard changes, and so does your motivation. This isn't about deprivation. It's about alignment. When you stop chasing what doesn't matter, you free up the time, energy, and focus to build what does. And that's the shift. You stop reacting. You stop proving. You stop trying to keep up with people who aren't even watching. And you start learning, investing, designing a future you'll actually enjoy living in. Most people never make this shift. Not because they can't, but because they're addicted to the feeling of being seen. But that feeling? It fades. What doesn't fade is ownership of your decisions, your direction, your dignity. You don't need $1 million tomorrow. You need a system that makes money inevitable over time. And more than that, you need an identity that doesn't collapse the moment no one's watching. That's what the shift gives you. It gives you yourself back. So let me ask you, what would change this month if you stopped performing and started building? Even one small shift. Canceling a payment that only serves your image. Putting that money toward an index fund. Saying no to one invite that drains you. Reading one book instead of watching one influencer. Taking 1 hour to sit in silence and think clearly. These moves won't look impressive. No one will cheer. But in a year, you'll look back and see just how powerful you've become. This is how the new version of you starts taking shape. But now, we go deeper. Because it's not just about what you do, it's about who you become. In the next act, we're going to walk through the habits, beliefs, and decisions that build a person who no longer needs motivations. Because they built a system that moves without it. Let's get to work. Let's make this real. Because it's not enough to feel inspired. You need a path, a process, a starting point. You don't need a 12-month plan. You don't need a full financial overhaul this week. You need a few small moves that shift the energy in your life. Away from noise. And toward freedom. Because that's how every transformation begins. Not with fireworks. But with quiet, consistent moves that no one claps for. But that change everything. So where do you start? Let's get practical. 1. Audit your spending for silence, not judgment. This isn't about shame. It's about clarity. Look at your last 30 days and ask, what did I buy to feel seen? The outfit you wore once? The subscription you forgot about? The dinner you couldn't afford but couldn't say no to? Circle everything that wasn't aligned with your goals. Not to beat yourself up, but to wake up. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. 2. Eliminate one expense that only exists for your image. Just one. Cancel it. Sell it. Let it go. You don't have to explain it to anyone. You don't have to post about it. You just free that money and assign it to your future. Redirect it to an investment account, a savings goal, a debt payoff plan. Let your money start doing something that feeds your future, not your ego. 3. Automate a tiny investment and don't touch it, even if it's $10 a week. Set it. Forget it. Let it grow in the background. Because that quiet transfer, done consistently, is more powerful than 1,000 financial pep talks. This is how wealth is built. Quiet, predictable, boring, effective. 4. Choose a minimalist routine to reduce mental noise. Discipline isn't just about money. It's about how you manage your attention. Pick one area: your wardrobe, your meals, your schedule, your phone screen. Simplify it. Make fewer choices. Free your mind to focus on what actually matters. Because clutter costs clarity, and clarity builds wealth. 5. Set one new non-negotiable habit. Not 5. 1. Something small, but powerful. Review your finances every Sunday. Read 10 pages of a wealth-building book daily. Write your goals before looking at your phone. Say no once a week to something that drains you. The point isn't to impress anyone. The point is to train yourself to show up, even when no one's watching. Especially when no one's watching. You don't need 100 new habits. You need one that proves to yourself you're done pretending. Because when you follow through on one thing, your identity starts to shift. You're no longer just hoping for change. You're building it. And here's something no one says enough. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. So start building systems that protect you from yourself. Automate what matters. Pre-commit to what builds you. Remove the need for daily motivation. Because the person who needs to feel ready to act stays stuck. But the person who acts anyway gets free. You're not behind. You're not too late. You're just one powerful decision away from momentum. And you don't need anyone's permission to start. Small moves. Stacked. Protected. Repeated. That's the blueprint. So let me ask you, what are you willing to let go of this week? To make room for something that serves you? Pick one thing. Let it go. And replace it with a move that multiplies. That's how the shift becomes real. And in the next act, the final one, you're going to see how this isn't just a money strategy. It's an identity shift. Because the goal isn't just to have wealth. It's to become someone who can sustain it without losing yourself. Someone who builds quietly, but lives with power. This isn't just about money anymore. You felt it. You're not just shifting how you spend. You're shifting who you are. Because when you stop trying to look rich, when you stop performing for people who aren't even watching, when you start protecting your focus, your energy, your future, something deeper begins to change. You stop being reactive. You stop asking for permission. You stop needing the world to validate your progress. You no longer look outside to feel okay. You start looking inside. And finally, you trust what you see. This is your new identity. You're not someone who buys to be seen, spends to feel accepted, upgrades out of pressure. You're someone who builds in silence, moves with purpose, protects what matters. You don't need to announce your next move. You just make it. You don't need to flash your progress. You feel it every day. And what's wild? People will notice anyway. They won't be able to explain it. They'll say, "You seem more focused. You've changed. You're on a different level now." They'll ask what you did. And the truth? You did what most won't. You stopped chasing the illusion and started building the foundation. You chose ownership over opinion, discipline over dopamine, clarity over chaos. And now, you walk differently. You say no without guilt. You make moves without noise. You live with intention, not just ambition. This is what real freedom feels like. Not loud, not flashy, not dramatic, just clear, quiet, solid. You don't need to scream to make impact. You don't need to be visible to be valuable. You don't need applause to stay consistent. Because when your life is aligned, you stop looking around for direction. You already know where you're going. And when things shake, you don't. Because your discipline doesn't need inspiration anymore. Your vision doesn't need validation anymore. Your progress doesn't need a post. You are unshakable. Because you built it that way. So now, the choice is yours. Will you go back to the noise? Back to spending energy on being seen? Or will you keep moving like someone who's finally in charge? Someone who builds instead of explains. Someone who creates instead of complains. Someone who multiplies quietly, powerfully, and on purpose. And if that's you, if you felt something shift during this video, subscribe now. Not just to this channel, but to the version of you that you're ready to become. Because here, we're not chasing hype. We're building legacy. One decision at a time. One system at a time. One identity at a time. And if this spoke to you, don't stop here. The next video shows you exactly how to reinforce this new identity. Every morning, before the world even wakes up. Because your wealth doesn't start in your bank account. It starts in your routine, in your discipline, in your silence. Click play on the next one. And let's keep building together. This time, you don't need to be seen. You just need to follow through. Because the quiet ones, they're the ones who win in the end.